It was just amazing. The families themselves all vanished. And I went, what's going on here? These 13 men knew so many people in society, but so many of them disappeared. They were scared of the rumours. They didn't know whether they were under surveillance or not. They were trying to avoid the media. They were really... Hysteria, if Howard wanted to create hysteria, he certainly created it. It was out of control. I chose to go public. Regrettably, to some degree, I felt after I spoke to my brother and some of the others who I visited in Barwon since that, yes, they're devout Muslims. There's a big difference between devout Muslim and terrorists. What were these men planning? They still can't tell us. We don't know. When were they going to do it, this imminent attack that they thwarted? When? We don't know. How? We're not sure. What do you got? Oh, well, these men were disappointed with the war in Iraq. We all were. And that's reality. We're all disappointed with the war in Iraq. Our involvement should never have been there. That's the reality. I've kept close links with all our lawyers representing these men, and they say that since July 2002 that $5 billion was spent on the war on terror. And again, it might be seen as a biased point of view, but these men, they couldn't come up and say, we've spent $5 billion on war on terror, there's nothing there. Well, we justify this money spent, we've arrested these men, and here we go. We've saved this country from, major violent jihad. So we're waiting patiently for this trial. We can't wait for it to start, to be honest. It's been a long haul. Just quickly, people have asked, surely these, in Sydney as well, and Melbourne, the families of these men, there should be uproar, there ought to be huge protests in the streets and that. But sadly, like I said, a lot of them are going scared. I'm trying to break through to some of them and pick their brains and say, look, come up. You've got to fight for what you believe in these days. I went public. I said before, I regret part of it. You get death threats, hate mail. I remember 3 bullets in the mail. My name, my brother's name, Abdullah, my son, Semi. To this day, people say it was authorities. People say it was, members who lost maybe a brother or sister at Bali bombings. Maybe it's just rednecks, people out there, racist people who are trying to get back at the family. So I understand people, particularly family members, not coming out, and I don't blame them in a way, but I think life's too short. If you believe in something strong enough, you've got to fight for it, and if you've got to take risks for your wife and kids, you've got to do it, Anyone who knows Islam's a religion of peace and tolerance. It prohibits terrorism or any terrorist activities, and I want to make that very, very clear. People got different opinions on a lot of different issues and that, but I want to make that clear. Islam, people portrayed as terrorist Islam, link hand in hand. It's certainly not the go. Don't have much to go. Sorry, Terry, I've taken up a bit of time. The new anti-terror laws, I wanted to read of them thoroughly. I knew of them, had a real good read of them, and in my opinions, they're radical, they're extreme, and they simply violate fundamental human rights. They illuminate 8 centuries of struggle for free speech and no detention without charge principles. So much of what our country has built on. Now with these introduction of anti-terror laws, just doesn't add up. It's just, people got their own opinions. Mine's my deep inside heart opinion. I can't say it because I'll be taken away. I love my family too much. I'm not going to risk that. But with the new anti-terror laws, people may not know, and I'll give you some really simple examples. Someone can ring in and say they saw me doing something suspicious or whatever, or got a bit of a beard or whatever. I can actually be taken for a week, honestly, and this is no word of a lie. Can't even tell my family where I'm going. I just pretty much vanish for a week. If my neighbour sees me being taken away by authorities and he tells people, he or she can be jailed for up to 5 years for simply saying that I saw this person get arrested by ASIO, the federal police. It's just unbelievable. You can make a donation to a Middle Eastern country, third world poverty country, and I've made some over the years, to all countries, not just Middle Eastern. You can make a donation to a Middle Eastern country, and a few years down the track, you could be jailed for life imprisonment because you've made an innocent donation to a Middle Eastern country, not knowing that they may or may not have had indirect or direct links with, terrorist groups overseas. And who's to say you go into a mosque, you pay $5 or $50, whatever. So it's very, very grey. It's just unbelievable. These anti-terror laws, they're not the way forward. They certainly are. Australia's national security important, absolutely. The new anti-terror laws are the way forward. They're certainly not. They divide and conquer. They've made the lives of a lot of Muslims, I think, fearful. afraid, unsure and confused of, where they stand in all this. These men now have been in prison. I know Sydney start June 1, I think it's their committal, I believe. We're waiting now. It's been 558 days down in Melbourne. These men have been incarcerated. They're at the Acacia unit at Lara, where they're in solitary confinement for up to 20 hours a day. They get 4 hours where they can walk up and down like a mini pitch or concrete, just walk up and down. I'd get dizzy doing 2 laps, though. They've got to do about 200. They get 3 meals a day, dinner served at 3 p.m, 1 hour of visit per week. So they pick 2 of their brothers or their father or sister or uncle. So a 1 hour visit every week behind glass where they can talk. A lot of it's hands action. Guards turn them against each other. He said this about you, and it's all stems from authorities putting pressure on them. Shackled, intimidated when they go to court. They sit in a van, handcuffed, shackled, waist chains like this for 2 hours. It's just unbelievable what they're going through. We don't hear about this. We don't know about this. And when you come out and talk about this, I'll get a visit when I'm back in Melbourne for sure. But it's not right. The trial's going to appear soon, and these men have been found guilty. Let's wait for the trial and see what happens. But to be going through all this, and right now these men are innocent, is just not right. If they get found in a trial that there's nothing there, how do you do that? They're going without their wives and kids for 558 days plus. It'll be another year. The trial they anticipate will go for 12 months. So just justice. Let's hope justice prevails. Time will tell. Look, like I said, I've got heaps to get through, but I'm really eager to, myself as well, I'm being a bit selfish here, to hear Terry speak. I want to thank, Stop the War Coalition, Socialist Alliance back in Melbourne, Socialist Party, the union movement, been fantastic. They've done a lot of things. We've organised down in Melbourne, just so you know, solidarity bus trips down to Barwon prison, been fantastic. We have a barbie at the front and all that, and the brothers can hear us talking. We have a few speakers. We've had numbers at courts. We've had placards every time they're in court, free the Barwon 30, similar to free David Hicks and Jack Thomas, etc. We've had forums, public meetings, etc. So we've put a lot of pressure on the Howard government. I just want to finish up by saying thanks for having us down here today. I know I've sort of rushed it and I'm a bit patchy here and there. I'm not very good with jet lag. still confused. I don't know, not good with planes, but absolutely rapt to be here. Thank Stop the War Coalition, each and every one of you. Thanks, Paddy. I've annoyed you heaps over the last few days. Been fantastic to be here. Keep the pressure up. David's back with us. The Sydney and the Melbourne men have got a long way to go, but the only way we'll get through this is if we link arms and tell the government that they're wrong, that the anti-terror laws are wrong, and that he's got to just piss off, Howard. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Omar. And I suppose I can speak on behalf of Stop the War Coalition in saying that we're really grateful that you've taken the time to be here with us today, and we understand that the pressure that is on people who are associated with people who've been labelled terrorists not to speak out, and I guess that's part of the problem and part of why the war on terror is such an evil thing. And why the war on terror is also linked to what's happening in Guantanamo Bay and what's happening here in Australia. I mean, Howard and people who've dreamt up this concept, there is no... There's no doubt that it's not just merely coincidence that it's happening at a time when there are so many other social pressures and things that people really should be fearful about. I mean, work choices being one of them. But also that in order to prosecute a war like we've seen happening in Afghanistan and Iraq, which is resulting in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people, that can only go on if the government can show us that there's some kind of legitimate threat here as well. And so these men are being caught up in that level of scaremongering and targeting of the other, and unfortunately it's Muslim people that are bearing the brunt of that at the moment. But anyway, let's move on to Terry. And I guess he doesn't need much introduction, so I'll just bring him up here.
Thank you. Well, to start with, I better do the right thing and thank everybody for being here to listen to the speakers. And when I say listen, I hope you'll take it in, because what's happening to Australians